I say fuck the man that lives in the sky.
So you would be the first Jewish president, and I'm looking here at, I don't know if this is new. Have you heard that he's going to the Vatican? Has this been...
You have the story.
So
tell the world.
Tell me, you're going to be going to the Vatican to talk about how to create a moral economy that works for all people rather than the top 1%. How did this come about?
It was an invitation from the Vatican.
You know, that's pretty good.
That's kind of impressive.
It is. Let me...
It is.
Mike, has the Pope invited you?
I like that.
Has the Pope invited you?
The Pope has not invited me, and he's
no
invited Senator Sanders. I am kind of offended because I've been going to 8 o'clock children's mass now.
Last time I checked, you're a Catholic, too.
But you've been invited by the Vatican to go over and speak.
And I was very moved by the invitation, which just was made public today. I am a big fan of the Pope. Obviously, there are areas where we disagree on women's rights or gay rights, but he has played an unbelievable role of injecting a moral consequence into the economy. And here's what he is saying. You know, people think Bernie Sanders is radical. Read what the Pope is writing. What he is saying is not only that we have to pay attention to what he calls the dispossessed. And again, we don't talk about it enough. These are the children who have no jobs all over the world. Youth unemployment is off the charts. The elderly people who are watching this program now are trying to get by on $11,000 a year. We don't talk about that. But you know what else he's even doing? He's talking about the idolatry of money, the worship of money, the greed that's out there. How our whole culture is based on, I need more and more and more. And I don't have to worry about veterans sleeping out on the street or elderly people who can't afford their prescription drugs. And he's trying to inject a sense of morality into how we do economics.
Trying to put a conscience into it.
Absolutely. And we need that absolutely desperately. So.
Hello, and welcome once again to the front row, where I do indeed have a seat open and waiting just for you. I am Crafty, the Front Row Atheist, and I would like to thank you so very much for taking some of your valuable time and spending it here with me. I'm going to try my best to make you feel like it was indeed time well spent. Love seeing that the Mad Hatter himself, the Pope that is going to be feeling the burn. Mostly I love it because it gets the Burn Man exposure to an audience he generally doesn't. Well, two, actually. The mainstream media and people who follow the Pope, or Pope News. Now, I think the leader of the Catholic Church talking about morality and money is like, well, the leader of the Catholic Church talking morality within the Catholic Church. Hey, I'm all for the discussion, but before looking at global economics, you might want to take a look in your own house first. What do you say, your holy grand poobah-ness? Somewhat coincidentally, I guess, before hearing the news on the Burn Man, I was checking out a debate on YouTube featuring a couple atheists, Richard Carrier and Dan Barker, squaring off versus a couple of theists, actually a Muslim and a Christian, whose names I don't really think matter. Spoiler alert, atheists win. The YouTube info was very thin, but it looked to be from a little while ago, maybe up to 10 years. Regardless, one of the things mentioned is in the debate is brought up a lot in theist versus atheist debates. Now, sometimes the whole debate is centered on this topic, and that is morality, or objective morality versus subjective. How can we have morality without God? And where this debate again appeared to be older, trust me, this topic or question is still very much alive and well, and discussed and debated and dissected. We cannot have morals without God. Without God and an afterlife judgment, we would have no reason at all to not spend our lives killing and raping and stealing. Society would collapse, humans would go extinct.
Bullshit. Come on.
Right the fuck on, Jake. It is bullshit. Complete and utter bullshit. 5-star. USDA approved grade A. 97 octane. 24 karat. 2 thumbs up. Blue ribbon bullshit. Now, of course, your fundamentalist types have a few different angles and tactics during debates or in their books. However, most of them beg the general question. Just how and where do we get our morals, if not from God? And my question is, how do we ever possibly get them from Him? Let's set aside their question for a moment and unpack mine a little further. Now, I've only heard 2 explanations, or attempts at explanations anyway. The first is the Bible, both your testaments, and let's not forget the Quran. But God is the ultimate authority, God is perfect, so His word and His book are then perfect. This explanation, of course, has more holes in it than Sonny and his car at the toll booth. The fucker kicks him. First of all, there is zero evidence to believe that the Bible or the Quran are in fact written or inspired by anyone else but man. Why do you believe in God? The Bible. How do you know the Bible is true? Well, it's the Word of God. If anyone wants to be truly honest with themselves, the evidence, mixed with just a smattering of reason, actually suggests it is the work of bronze-aged man. Let's pretend, however, the Bible is true. I know, it's a tall order, but do your best. It still leaves plenty of moral questions very much on the table. Are slavery and rape immoral? You wouldn't know based on the book. In fact, going by the book, I'm not even sure if raping your slave is such a bad thing. Forget about situational morality. Thou shalt not kill. Okay, ever? What if I bump into, say, Mr. T at a bar, and we start knocking back a few white Russians, until I learn he doesn't like to talk about Rocky III because he thinks Clubber Lang got screwed. Even if there was a chance, according to him, that Balboa could take him in the rematch, there should have been a 3rd, 4th, or 5th fight. And realistically, it should have been him to fight Drago instead of Apollo. So I tell him, just like Apollo, he never would have the mental toughness to take on Ivan Drago. Which, of course, he takes as a black thing. Gets all pity the fool on me and amps up the aggression to where it's me or him. So I crack off a beer bottle off the bar, try for the neck, but now I know why he wears all that bling. So as he charges at me, I knock over a bar stool, he trips, and I ram the thing into his temple, Walking Dead style. Now, I went through Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Acts, you name it. I didn't find this situation anywhere in the entire book. Was it moral of me to take down one of my teenage heroes? See what I mean? So, when the Bible does not suffice, and yes, I know how silly that sounds, but when it doesn't have the answer, or even sometimes regardless, the other go-to the theists use for their morality argument is that God created us with his moral code, or a moral code, embedded in our DNA or in our hearts. Yes, we just all intrinsically know right from wrong, right from the womb. And I guess that would be a possible explanation, except for the fact that moral opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. I don't know. I know one thing the God of the Bible is not, is consistent. But you would think if he were creating us with our moral code embedded on our hearts, he might make it a little more uniform among us, his children. I'm sorry, but this question and these pious pussies really piss me off when they inevitably go on to say something along the lines of, our justice on earth is so flawed. The immoral or evil ones escape punishment all the time. Which is true. Hey, look no further than the Catholic Church as Exhibit A. Of course, they also then always play the Hitler card, who, by the way, was a Christian, just saying. Where's the justice with tyrants like this? And I say, exactly. Just where is it? Because under your rules, all Adolf needed to do was beg forgiveness before blowing his brains out, and G-Man takes him into the kingdom of heaven, no questions asked. All you have to do is take the boy wonder Jesus into your heart, and you shall be forgiven. Am I right? Whereas you have someone who lives a good life, tries his or her best to help and love others, certainly never kills or even hurts anyone, but simply doesn't believe in the supernatural sky skipper or magic zombie man. And it's liquid hell fire, baby. Yeah, tremendous justice system you have there. Fact is, we are perfectly capable of deciding among ourselves as a society what is moral and what is not. And it's actually pretty fucking simple, and it's called the Golden Rule. I know what you're thinking. Front row atheist. Isn't the Golden Rule in the Bible? Yes. That doesn't mean it wasn't around for thousands of years before written down in there, but regardless, even a blind squirrel finds an acorn every now and again. But it is in our own self-interest, our need to survive and thrive, combined with being a social species with a need for family and community, etc., etc., that we can see killing and hurting others is wrong. Stealing their shit is wrong. No invisible man needed, and it's an insult to our own intelligence to suggest otherwise. My final question to all you morality seekers is, just how well has the threat of eternal damnation been as a deterrent all this time? Again, let's look no further than those who supposedly have the greatest understanding of God's justice, of his moral code, the priests. How has an eternity of pain and suffering and torment been at keeping them from committing likely the most immoral and heinous of all acts by raping children? Judging from the headlines, not very well. And if there is an act as close to as immoral and heinous as that, it would probably have to be the covering up of the raping of children and allowing the pedophile rapist men of God to continue on their righteous path. All right, all you sinners, that is it for me for now. Until the next time, I am the Front Row Atheist. Y'all be good now. You hear?